Hi everyone, good to see all of you again. So are you ready with your questions? Shoot.
What are your views on live-in relationship?
That's a good question. Live-in relationships. I think people are getting into live-in relationships mostly because their parents are not around. They come from smaller towns, or they could be also living in metro cities where their own parents live in these metro cities. And they think that we are actually making trials of how to live with someone. Obviously, this is a westernized concept, and we have to understand that this Western concept may not be working in the Indian context because our value systems are different, our social lives are very different, etc. And the expectations of couples are very different. Even though we are in 2024, we still need to understand that we stand at the corridors of and crossroads of East and West and don't know how much to pick up from the West and how much to pick up from the East. Number one, I personally feel is that I think women are more losers than men in a live-in relationship, although there is a loss for men as well. But I think women probably have the brunt of it because what happens is that when the relationship doesn't work, the girl still has a stigma of being in a relationship, whether married or unmarried. And because this partnership is on a trial basis. Now, in the West, when we are talking about a live-in relationship, does not have relatives, it does not have expectations of parents, it does not have any expectations out of society. But here, when you marry people, irrespective of whether it's a love marriage, or whether it's an arranged marriage, or whether it's a live-in relationship, you ultimately have to deal with the family. Because if you think that it's very cool to get rid of the relatives, it's not possible. We have a trend here where they say, okay, fine, and the boy and girl are great, but the families don't have to meet and they can meet much later. But when they meet later and the families are not what you expected them to be, like say, for example, if I'm a mother, I may have an influence on my son or my daughter, and I could probably through them wreck your home in the future. So while we are a collective society, which you have to understand that festivals have to be spent together, certain areas have to be done together, when the child gets munnan and all that sort of a thing, when children are born, there's a lot of collectiveness, unlike the West where you're only meeting them on Easter and Christmas. So you have to keep the Indian values in mind while having this.